Hello, everyone. Welcome to Remembering. Just like to say thanks for sort of tuning in. First show, so it's going to be interesting. See how we go. But today I'll have Bob with us, and I'll sort of start with how I got into it, how I got into everything, the point that I'm at now, sort of thing. But sort of, I think what was a big thing that sort of done it for me, and just questioning what it was and why you had to be there against your will, sort of thing, and then sort of led me from there, being in high school 7, just looking up UFOs and all that sort of thing. But it's been an interesting journey, and yeah, I'll get Bob in. I'll get Bob in to join us. Bob, are you there?
Hello, Emilio.
How you going, Bob?
Hi. Welcome everyone to the first show of Remembering. Glad to be here to assist. And anyone who wants to call in, you may want to call in at 716-458 would be the call-in number if you want to have any add to your story or any of the topics that we want to discuss. But I'm glad to be here, assist any way I can.
All right. A little bit nervous here at the moment, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about what's happening with people remembering and waking up, and one of the things that I've noticed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. We talked a little bit. We didn't really get into it, but we started to about how it's affecting different people's relationships. You know, especially, you know, sometimes it's a real hard thing to wake up and find the rest of the world still sleeping.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how your story went, Emilio, or how you came to be involved with all of this. How old are you?
25. I kind of got stuck there at that moment before I couldn't even get to the thicker things. But yeah, 25 at the moment.
So you're at that generation that's kind of right in the thick of this new energy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you woke up, you were quite young in that energy. So
yeah.
You know, I don't know what was that like for you, but for me it was, you know, back in the late 80s, early 90s. So it was, you know, I was a generation before there was no one awake. You got made fun of. You put into nut houses for talking about some of the stuff that we'll discuss today, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think mine was sort of firstly starting off with sort of the family traditions. Just why you sort of repeatedly go and do the things that are passed down from sort of generation to generation, and yeah, it's like the whole sort of do routine and get a job and a nice family and pay off your mortgage, and I don't know, I kind of saw that as a little bit of a repetition sort of thing, and just thought maybe life could be as exciting as you could possibly imagine it to be if you sort of just stop limiting the things that you choose, or not having sort of faith in what you're capable of doing. And yeah, when you find that power we all have, yeah, everything changes. What you're capable of doing, what you can achieve is it's infinite, really. What you can do.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it was the same or I was raised parents were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I don't know if you can connect stark contrast from where I am today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it wasn't easy because, like I said, so very few people, you know, had that set back then.
Yeah.
But and even still today, parts of my family told me, you know,
really?
I'm the black sheep of the family.
Awesome. No.
But it's been quite the.
Yeah, I could only imagine far out. I've met a lot of people who explain all different ages as well. Where they come from, have gotten to where they are. It's really interesting when you can listen to everybody's stories. I find, like, it's really amazing. But I think advice and meeting Santos, when I went to Santos Bernardi's first seminar sort of thing, that's how the rabbit was getting deeper, and then I met a few people from that, and Lisa and Chris, a meeting that I organised with Anne Bressington and Max Egan, and from there it's just been sort of going more interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're traveling in the right circles.
Yeah, no, it was really good because I met a lady who was doing things with her name's Rena Eliades, and doing things with the Melbourne Council and invoking section of the Magna Carta for lawful rebellion, because the council were pretty much trying to rape the land and in agendas from Agenda 21 into force, so it was kind of inhumane in certain things that they were doing. And I was really interested in that with him, and then I went to that first APPT meeting with Chris in Melbourne a few weeks ago, and then, it just happened really fast, I guess.
Well, looks like we have a couple callers, and I just want to remind the callers, if you have a question, if you hit 1 on your dial pad, that will let us know that you have a question. Otherwise, maybe just check in on you and see if you're just listening, because sometimes people can't get that dial pad to come up on their Skype call. I don't know how you're working. But if you have a question, just hit 1 if you're calling in with your phone, and we'll know to call on you.
Okay, so were you going to...
Well, there is a caller there, area code 828.
Yeah. Okay, did you want to handle that side of things?
Okay, yeah, caller 828, do you have
Bob?
a question? Are you there?
Bob,
Yes.
can you hear me? It's Linda. I can't hear you on the computer, so I figured I'd try to call in. The audio's breaking up really bad on both of you guys. So, and
really?
it's no better on the phone either. I thought it might be Blog Talk, so I just thought I'd give you a heads up.
Oh, thanks. Is it really bad now?
It's like every other word, and somebody else has mentioned it as well. Maybe if you hold your microphone steady, I don't know. It's just a suggestion, but I'm just listening. No questions, Bob. Good to talk to you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for calling in, Linda.
Thanks.
If you're having problems hearing, can somebody type in the chat room if you can hear us if we're coming in through?
Right now you're clear, Bob. Right now you're clear.
Okay, great.
Okay. Am I clear as well?
Yes. Whatever you guys did, it cleared up.
Okay.
Great,
okay,
thanks.
great then.
Okay.
No,
thanks for calling in, Linda.
No problem.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for that. Thank you very much.
We'll just try this next caller, area code 281.
Yeah.
Area code 281, are you there?
I'm here. I have no questions. I just called in to listen.
Okay, very
awesome.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see, area code 307. Are you there, or are you just listening?
Just listening.
Beautiful.
There you go. Okay. Well, Emilio, one of the things I wanted to ask you, as you were going up and you started to come to this awareness of all this, about you're entering into a whole, going down the rabbit hole, and finding out, a lot of the things that you were led to believe to be true actually are not true, and there's this whole other world going on. How did that affect your relationships, your family and partner, if you had one?
That's a very good question. Well, I think that slowly I wasn't sort of resonating so much with the close unit of people in my family, and it started. I know it does get a little bit difficult because you have conflicting views on things, but I've always tried to sort of make a way that you can always stay on the same page, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Then you can turn off if something arises that sort of doesn't resonate, might start stirring the other person. But just sort of putting the idea out there and what if sort of thing. But it's like you do say that you change or you're different. You're not the old sort of being that they once knew you as, or something around those lines. But you sort of learn that that's part of the journey, I think. And as long as you can still be civil and be open-minded and just respect the other person's position, where they are in their journey, I think that's a really good thing to have on board. It makes the ride a whole lot easier. I've found anyway.
My nephew just had a dispute. Okay, let's call it a fight. Yeah. with his girlfriend, and the question she asked is, why can't you just be normal?
I love that. I always get that from my sister. My sister always says that to me. I love it a bit. And to me that word just kind of made me cringe. Like, yeah, normal. Yeah. Ugh. It's kind of like in a positive way, but like a program. Normal. It's based. Conformity. Yeah. But she's not happy. She's just. How does he do it? Is he alright? Is he cool? Yeah, he just said he's fine. I don't know if you hear him in the background, but I told him, I said, they get angry because honestly, when you see someone that makes choices different than yours, and if you're not internally happy with your choices, a lot of people are pretending to fit into these different paradigms that they've been indoctrinated, whether they've been raised traditional Christian, whatever tradition that they may have raised in. They believe that this is the right thing and the right way to do and to be, even though they may have conflict internally with it. Yeah. They go along with it for acceptance, for conformity, fit in. And when you break those patterns and start doing something different, kind of invalidate their choices, I think. There's a part of them that understands, I believe, that, the choices that they made that they're not happy with, they beat themselves up over, and that comes out. It expressed, they get angry. You make them feel guilty for or resentful for the choices they've made in their own life. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to look at, and be truly honest with yourself. But I told him, I said, you have to help her to see that, why is she upset? Ask those questions. Yeah. Did I hurt anyone? Am I a meaner, angrier person, or am I more peaceful? Am I more content? And why are you unhappy with that? Yeah. But when I guess when you're in that whole
3D mindset. You know, you're emotionally driven, and a lot of these people, they don't know why they're angry. They don't know why they feel the way they do. You know, because they're frustrated internally, and I don't think that they allow that inner child any room for expression, and that's what basically comes screaming out at you.
Yeah, it's definitely totally 100% right. I totally agree with that.
You know, it's difficult, and I think a lot of people are finding that some of the relationships that they may have found themselves is just don't work anymore. Yeah. And that's, you know, I hear a lot of stories of people who are separating, you know, and that separation is not just relationships, but you mentioned also your job, you know, where you just become disillusioned with you know, what you're doing, and you know, you're like, you know, because I remember when I was back in the 90s, you know, and it gets like,
I think long ago in the 90s.
It would get to Sunday afternoon, and I'd start to get that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach because I knew I had to go to work on Monday, you know. And I'm just like, oh my God, you know, and like just having to wake up and knowing that I had to go to work, and I just felt something inside me was dying.
Yeah.
I just could not, you know, be myself. And you know, it made me a horrible employee. You know, I saw the pointlessness to all of it, you know, and it really led me on a completely different path. So that led me away from traditional jobs. It led me away from traditional relationships. You know, it led me away from the tradition completely. You know, and you start to realize that there's so many opportunities that are there that you were completely unaware of. It opens new doors, new possibilities, and at least that's my experience.
Yeah, well, it's I think they're saying that there's still disruption in the audio in the chat, Bob.
From the little I can hear, it sounds like it would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
Too much audio disruption. I don't know.
Do we normally hear that sort of radio disruption?
Normally, like, you know, I coming in through Skype unclear.
I think
if it's Blog Talk, you might not hear it.
Yeah, maybe it also has to do with the same problem as that time difference. That could have somehow to do with it, because it's weird. But I just asked in the chat, if it's not clear, time warp right now, it's clear. Okay. So it's clear now. It's got a mind of its own.
Well, I mean, we've been troubled with technical difficulties. I don't know if anybody else is having problems with technology working. You know, cell phones not working and internet connections being spotty. I think that's part of one of the symptoms of this new energy grid that we're moving into, especially with solar activity the way it's been. But it may very well be that, you know, the archive comes through clear. So we'll keep moving forward, and we'll try to work through it as we can.
Okay.
You know, maybe after the break I can try and reconnect with Blog Talk and see what that makes a difference.
But what I will do is what might be intention for the show sort of was just around the lines of how lies affect us and how we can look at it in a more broad spectrum and be open to a lot more things and being able to figure them out together. There's a lot of topics. There's a lot of things to talk about, and I know this first hour is not going to be long enough, but hopefully we will get through the vast amount of topics that would, I'm guessing, maybe resonate with a lot of people listening in.
We do have a caller that's raised their hand. Area code 570.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello? You there?
Oh. Yeah, you were talking about like the awakening and how time it affects your relationships and the process of doing it. I just wanted to share my experience and how I went through that, if you don't mind.
Oh, beautiful. Please do.
Well, actually, it all started when I was around 13, 14, and I was like what you would call normal, believing what everybody else believed in. And then I came across, and this was when I was in a relationship, too. I was actually in a relationship for like a year and a half. I was going on my second year. And I came across, I was on YouTube, and I was looking into meditation, and I came across this video. His name was Bobby Hemmett. And he started, like, the stuff that he was saying was profound, and, like, I started to realize, I'm like, well, everything that I've been told was a lie. And as I started going through my awakening process, the girl that I was with was very closed-minded, and I was awakening to the truth of everything. And she was very closed with the system and everything else. And as I was awakening, she was telling me, oh, you're wrong, and that sort of, like, it destroyed our relationship. Like in a minimum of like 2 weeks maybe, our relationship was gone because she was calling me crazy and everything that I believed in, UFOs, that we are the ultimate creators, and she would tell me go to church, believe in God, and all this other stuff that the system will tell you to conform with. And I said no, Therese. I said no, Haley. You need to listen to this. This is waking you up. I didn't know what to call it at the time, but whatever I was going through was amazing. And then our relationship was over. We broke up after 2 years of a relationship that I thought was perfect. And then I of course, I'm still going through my awakening inside my mom's house. And my mom, she's very close-minded. Now, that was hard because I was in there for about 3 years of my awakening process. And she's closed-minded, and every time I would bring up telekinesis, or I would move a bottle in front of her, take a water bottle, and I would place it on the cabinet, and I would show her that everything is energy and everything's connected. And I would start to move the bottle, and she would get freaked out, and she would start telling me that this is weird, none of this is true. I'm like your brothers and sisters across the galaxy are here. And she was telling me you're weird, and it's very, very, very hectic energy when you have an awakened person waking up, realizing who they really are, and someone who's there asleep. So my mother had a boyfriend. His name was Bill, and he was very asleep too, all into the system. He actually went to college to be a teacher on economics and all that. So he's directly into the system.
Love that.
Directly into the system, and I was like, you know, the way this planet is run with the whole system is wrong. There's a better way. And he was into the Christians and all that. I'm like, okay, you're religious. I said, God, Jesus even said to himself, "Ye are gods, sons of the Most High." And I said, what does that mean to you? If your so-called Savior is telling you that you are God, and if that you could believe this much, that mountain will move for you. I was telling him all about this, and of course he was like, no, and then finally I turned 18, and I was getting into more of this with the whole Oppt, and I was telling him that the system is foreclosed on, and there's a great awakening happening all around the world, and then that's where they said you have to leave because you're part of the Illuminati or something. And I said, what are you talking about? Part of the Illuminati? I'm not even. Do you even know what the Illuminati is? And she's like, yes, syllables that has the pyramids and an eye in the middle. I'm like, no, I'm not part of no Illuminati. I'm a part of the awakening to make a better world. You know, I'm like, the system's foreclosed on. Banks are corporations. The United States is a corporation, and the bank bought you in 1930. Which made you a straw man or a legal fiction, and all that's foreclosed on. And we all have a trust, or whatever you want to call it, that gives us rights to the planet. And that they're saying, oh, you're part of the Illuminati. I want you out of this house. So then I moved out of the house.
That would have been very intense for you.
Yeah, very intense. So then, like, she gave me like a month to move out of the house. So then I finally moved out of the house. I found a new girlfriend. Her name is Sharice. Then I moved in with her. Now she's spiritual too, and like it's very cool because she's spiritual too. So it shows how the universe works. How it takes me, because when I wasn't awake, when I was 13 to 14 years old, and I was still in that, normal society. Oh, this is great. Asleep. No, everything was great in my life. I had everything. I had everything that I would go to my mom. I'm like, oh, I want this. She would give it to me. So everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden, one little video that I clicked on started to change my whole reality. And then my whole life changed.
What was that video?
It's called Bobby Hemmett. I don't know exactly what it was called because it was so long ago. But it was one of his videos, and he was saying how that we have a power inside of us that is so powerful when it comes online. It's just so powerful, and like basically our minds are capable of doing anything, and that we are God. We are God. What's up?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting too when you look at that and you see how people, like a lot of people, get angry at themselves or get frustrated at themselves, and you end up finding that that's not necessary anymore. You can sort of look from the outside of that, so you don't need to sort of feel that way anymore. And it's you kind of feel for people when you see them, how they get really down on things and depressed, and it's totally unnecessary. It's quite able to always be in a real positive mindset and a real positive way of being, I think. That's what I found with sort of my journey so far, and just picking up things along the way and really questioning your thoughts as well. What do you think? Because there's even goes as deep to like engineering the consciousness, and John Tallegato is a big part of me about explaining the education system, where it all came from. And at one point he sort of explains in a nutshell that our way of thinking, how we think right now, it has a massive role to play in what the education system has done. So thinking, how else would we be thinking if we were not put through that system?
Yeah, see that's another thing with the new relationship that I'm in. Like I don't like school. I actually hate it because I know the purpose of it. It's to train you to be a good little slave in society that is already foreclosed, that is corrupted, And I tell her all the time, I'm like, seriously, you're planning your life around a system that doesn't even exist anymore. You're planning your life around you want to go to college and do all this stuff. And I'm like, you need to understand first, it's not about the money, because first you wanted to be a lawyer because of the money. I said you need to understand nothing's about the money at all, because if you're not loving what you're doing, you're going to stretch yourself to your death. And that's what a lot of people do. And I basically like shook her out of that mentality of thinking about the money all the time and like all the system's good and everything. And like, she's very spiritual, but then she has her own little ways where she still follows the system. And I said, the whole way that the school programs like kids ever since you're little. I mean, if you really think about it, like ever since you're little, you have to go to school. And then you wake up 12. You finally hit your senior year, and you're still in school, training to do the same things, repetition, brainwashing the kids since they were little to think a certain way, and they don't even understand that how the way they feel and how the way they think is a program that the system just placed inside of them, and they never get a chance. Yeah, they never get a chance to really express themselves, their authentic self, who they really are, because through the whole life they're programmed to think that they are Stephen or Tom, just that little person. The name that they've been given, they're basically programmed to think that that's who they are, when they're not. They're not just the name that they've been given, they're beyond that. And if they actually look through themselves, they would see a multidimensional self of them. And it's really beautiful when you look at yourself, and you could look out in the world, look out at the world how it is right now, and say, wow, I'm beautiful because the world is you, as the world is self, because everything's one. And when you have that connection where you could see everything, see every little person that you walk by and call them beautiful because you're falling in love with yourself, then that's where things start to get really amazing.
Totally agree. The flip side of all the bad things that the system can sort of do is it's really good on the same page, where if it wasn't for that and that sort of deep understanding of just that one way of thinking of how everything sort of operates, if you didn't go as far deep with that, you wouldn't be able to go the other way as deep and even deeper than that, if you know where I'm getting at. Like, it's so very necessary that we are sort of asleep and we do see the world one way, and it's just part of growth, I guess. But Bob, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
What was your name again, sorry?
Darius. Darius, right?
Darius. Beautiful.
That's actually my nephew. Emilio, you're speaking with my nephew.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What was I going to say? Just got stuck there. But yeah, relationships is a very, very, very big part that affects all of us. There's so many different things that come into it, but I think that was all. What I should have done prior, what this sort of the show's about, but and let me just find it right here, and then I'll talk about something I found about Judo Kushimaru that says about relationships, but
we do have another caller on the. They just dropped off. Okay.
Is there another caller?
There was a caller. There was a Josh that called.
Okay.
Had his hand up, but he dropped off. So if you have a question, Josh, call back in. We'll get you on. But go ahead, Emilio. You were saying about the relationships.
Yeah. Sorry. But I think for people around my age group, like I'm 25 myself, or people who are below 20 and above 25, that's are still sort of going through the learning process of what's this system has to offer, and being able to understand a deeper way of looking at things, and making that sort of easier for everyone, because it is difficult at a younger age as well, because you have pressures like, you gotta have a job, you gotta have a trade, you gotta have something to fall back on, you gotta sort of hold up the expectations of what your parents have sort of wanting from you to a certain degree, and that's a pressure for a young person wanting to really follow their dreams and their goals and do what their heart sort of tells them to do. I think if I had really followed everything I loved 100%, I'd be in a different path, I think. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Everything that's happened so far, everything's brought me to now. But yeah, those pressures with younger people, it's unnecessary, but they're there. So yeah, that's sort of the view of things from my end, my age group. But did you want to?
It's quite. I mean, you're one of the first generations that grew up that had complete access to information. You know.
Yeah.
I still. You probably can't remember a time when there wasn't an internet, but I remember when there was no internet, and you couldn't just pull up a YouTube video like you can today. So it was
has changed a lot. Far out.
But the information is out there now. So
yeah,
I'm of the firm belief that ignorance right now is a choice.
Yeah,
it really is. It takes something to break people out of that pattern.
Yeah,
it takes something to break them out of that monotonous wheel that they're going around on, because it's hypnotic. That they're literally hypnotized by the system. They're hypnotized by the matrix.
Yeah.
And you can see it. When you start asking them questions, and they get that blank look, on their. You can tell that they're coming out of some sort of fog, because you've asked them a question that kind of takes them completely out of their whole, spectrum of reality, and invariably the answer is almost, I've never really thought about that. But if you can get them to pause and one of those, and sometimes it's unfortunately it's trauma that happens, in their lives that breaks them out of that pattern and causes them to ask questions and look at things differently. Or it could be just a video like Darius clicked on, that spawns that little spark in somebody, and you never know, what can completely change your life. So I never give up on people.
No.
But sometimes I do say that, okay, this space, us being in the same space isn't working. I will love you from where I am.
Yeah.
And you go on your way.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
And I think, that's probably one of the hardest things for people to do, is to let go.
Yeah.
To let go of what you realize isn't working. But sometimes it's in that letting go that you provide the space for that other person to grow.
Yeah, exactly right. That's very true.
I think letting go was one of the hardest parts for me too, as well, because when I was in that trance of the world's normal and everything else, when I started to awaken and I started to realize that all this is basically crap, it doesn't really matter. One of my hardest things was letting go, not only of the material world, of people that I thought I was in love with, and like letting them go, because I knew that they had to grow too, in order for me, because me being in their life wouldn't let them grow at all. They would just get too much on their ego side and defensive when I try to talk. So I think letting go for me was one of the most difficult parts, not just material, letting go of people that I loved.
Yeah, that's totally understand that. It's a very big part of it too. It takes a lot of strength, I think, doing something like that.
We got another caller.
Okay.
Looks like area code 570.
Oh, I'm just here. I pressed 1 just in case I had something to say.
You there? Beg pardon?
Hello?
You there? What'd you say,
sorry?
I'm
here. Yeah. I just called in just in case I had something to say.
Okay, did you have anything you'd like to say?
Oh, no, not right now. I was just listening to Darius.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. You there, Bob?
I'm here. I'm here.
Beautiful. So, one other thing that... Give me one... Bob, did you want to... One of the things I found as well was understanding, looking at the ego, and how that sort of operates, and before you were able to sort of look at yourself and how you work and how you operate and how you react to certain different things. When you sort of have an understanding that the ego can be all the angry and all the frustration and the sort of hostility side of things can be like an unclear way of thinking, which brings about the ego.
For me, getting past the ego, it was all about the contrast. You know how you said you wouldn't change any of the hardships that you went through in coming to your awakening?
Yeah.
In a big way, it was the pain and the suffering that woke me up. It was the contrast.
Yeah.
You know, it really showed me really, really clearly what I did not want. You know, even when it came to relationships, it became very, very clear that this was what I did not want to experience. It was the antithesis of who I was, and it made it easier to let go, because, like you said, like Darius said, once he did let go of that first relationship, he found someone that was more resonant with him, someone that was more spiritual.
Can I ask you a question? What do you think about the side of, if you have someone that you're very close to and you love, and you think that if you pursue with maybe not forcing anything or being anything like that, but sort of hanging around to see if you're able to make a difference and give them a sort of broader way of looking at things? Do you think it's something that might be up to you in a way, and if it's worth it, or do you think it's better for them to be on their way and not looking at it like that?
I think everyone has to make their own personal decision, but if you're in a space that doesn't allow you the place to be authentic, that doesn't allow you that peace, sometimes you'll find that you're gonna have, you just can't, for your own peace of mind, you have to create a distance, or you have to make a separation. But that doesn't mean that you necessarily cut people out of your lives. You know, I mean, there are people that I still hold in my heart that, even though that I don't enjoy the same close relationship with, you know, I still wish them happy birthdays, and I still say Merry Christmas, and
yes,
they know that I'm still there and that I'm available and accessible. I don't cut them off, and almost invariably they come around, most of them.
Yeah.
You know, something will happen or something will change in their lives, and they know who to come to. They know exactly who to go to, you know, because they recognize that, wait a second, you know, this person was trying to help. And I've had tons of cases and experiences where people have come back years later and said, hey, you know, there's only one person that I could think of talking to. You know, I just saw a ghost, changed my life, and what's this all about? Or something happened. You know, something happened that took them out of their normal experience and caused them to question things.
Yeah,
you know,
exciting as well, listening to people having their own experiences, and when they start sort of peeking under the curtain, sort of thing.
Well, it helps reaffirm that, you know, because when you talk, and especially radio shows like this, where people can come together and share their experiences, and you know, and help, so you understand you're not crazy. Really, you're not crazy. For a long time, like, you know, for me, I live in a little small town. You know, I was like one of the very few people who was walking around awake in 1996, and
that's intense.
You know, you question your own sanity. Maybe I am crazy. Like, you know, I didn't have people that I can come to and communicate that were having, you know, similar experiences. You know, there was my brother, and fortunately he was there and available and going through a lot of the same things that but, you know, I always could fall back on insanity is inherited, so maybe we're both crazy. But nowadays, like there's communities and people who are experiencing these things can come together, and that you're not crazy. You know that there's something more, and it helps to solidify belief into knowing.
Yeah.
You move into knowing, the reality of the situation. You move into knowing, and when you're in that space of knowing, then you become so much more effective. You start seeing synchronicity like crazy.
Yeah.
You say something and it happens like moments later. And people are, when you start moving into that space, you're in a whole different area of the game, because now you've mastered. You're moving into mastering your reality.
Yeah, it's very exciting too, especially when you do look at it. Oh, you there?
Oh yeah. Speaking of like mastering your reality, there's another cool story that I have. When I was in school and it was a snow day and I lost my keys. I was in the gym room, and this is how powerful we really are, but we don't even realize it because we don't get a chance to actually see it. When I was in gym class, I actually lost my keys, and I dropped them down on this little pad right in the corner. I knew exactly where I left them because I took them off. Put them down so they wouldn't fall out my pocket, and then I went back to class. And then 2 periods later, I'm like, oh wow, I lost my keys. I'm like, they're down in the gym room. I know exactly where they are. So when I walked down in the gym room, they weren't there, and what's going through my mind now is I'm going crazy. My mind's going, my heart's pumping. I'm like, someone took my keys. Looking in the office, going everywhere. And then after that period, after like 45 minutes of looking around, and actually my mind is going crazy, because you need to understand that we are the creators of our reality. So if we're thinking we're not going to find our keys, you're not going to find your keys at all. Regardless of what it is in life, you're not going to find it if you're creating that reality. Worry, doubt. And that's what I was creating. And then I took a second, and I stopped, and we were in lunch, and I'm like, okay. I pulled out my headphones, put on some meditation music, relaxed. And I'm like, I'm going to find my keys. I said, they will come to me. And I put that intent in my mind, and I said, they will come to me. And I walked down this hallway like 50 times, at least looking for my keys. I was looking in every corner, I walked down it so many times, back and forth. And then when I had that intent in my mind that I'm going to find them, they will be in my hands. I was walking down the same hall that I walked down 50 times looking for the keys, and I stepped right on them, right in the middle of the floor. Now, that is how powerful we are. We're creative beings. We are so powerful, but we don't realize it. And when we go through a stressful day and we're like, oh, this day is going to be terrible, yes, it's going to be terrible because you're creating that day. And as others walk through their day being happy and joyful and everything else, and you're like, well, why are they so happy and I'm so miserable? It's because you're creating that, and we don't realize how powerful we really are. And when we put our intent in something, what we could really manifest into our reality.
Exactly right. That's a very, very big part of it too. That affects everyone. Like, imagine the possibilities if everyone knew that they do create their own reality. They do day by day, and every moment by moment, that they can make it whatever they want, just in the mindset and knowing and feeling.
Just by thinking about it, and like. It's crazy too, because in ninth grade I didn't know anything about this stuff, and like I was awakening, but I was still like that, partial me was, half of me was still asleep, so I was still going with the rules of society. And then it's funny because all my friends knew me as like this bad boy or whatever, whatever. And then in 10th grade, when I came back, because that's the time that I went over to my Uncle Bobby's for the summer, and my Bobby's like Yoda. Basically gave me all this information, and then basically opened my mind to everything. And then I came back in 10th grade, and everybody's like, whoa, what the hell happened to you? You're crazy now. Like, and I'm like, totally different. Like, and I didn't even change. They just looked at me, and they're like, wow, you're different. There's something crazy about you. And I didn't even speak anything. And then when I tried to tell them, like things like this. I'm like, you're creative, your reality, you're this, you're that. They're basically saying I'm crazy, and I would find myself getting mad at them, and that was part of me. I'd be like, oh my God, they're not getting it. They're not waking up like I did, and I was getting so mad and so frustrated. And so I took a step back and I realized everybody has their own path in life, and everybody walks the road. Everybody takes separate roads, but in the end, the roads meet at the end. And you can't get mad at somebody if somebody's crippled and somebody's like a marathon runner. If the course a marathon runner is going to get past the finish line first, other than the crippled person's going to get there last. And you can't be mad at people when they don't get it. They have to go their own. They have to wake up themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I took. I started to realize that. I'm like, well, all right, well, I can't get mad at people anymore about this if they don't get it right away. I just have to tell them, and if they have a question, I answer it because they're going at their own pace, and they will wake up and evolve by themselves.
I totally agree with that. It's exactly right. Like I find a lot of sort of my friends from when I used to really try and put it out there like a lot, and then I started being aware and just looking at what I was doing and thinking, hang on a minute, maybe I should I'll keep this to myself and let them sort of ask questions from now and then and not be so full on it makes it a lot more easier process, I think.
Yeah,
as well. And the friendships can still function as normal to a degree.
Yeah, me like at that time in 10th grade, I was at that sweet spot where like my mind was completely fresh. Like I had a chance to basically let go of everything, and my mind was completely fresh. I'm like, this is amazing. Everybody needs to know about this. And I was in that sweet spot where I'm like, you got to get this. I'm like, are you stupid? It's right in front of your face. And then like I found myself, and I took a step back, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore because I'm actually stressing myself out. I'm actually like wearing myself down. That people don't get it,
Yeah,
like,
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, what about you, Bob?
Everybody goes through that when you first awaken. You want to share it.
Yeah.
You want to share your experience with everyone, and you want them to see and you want them to know because you love them. And you see the suffering and you empathize and you sympathize with them. But sometimes, if people are ready, I have learned over the years of experience that it does you no good to answer a question that hasn't been asked.
Yeah.
And if they haven't asked the question and they're not in that space, sometimes you can prompt them to ask that question, but you can't force it down them, and you just have to show by your example.
Yeah.
But we're coming down to the last minute or two, so.
Okay.
Just so.
Well, for the next show, hopefully, I'll be a little bit more on the ball, and so we can get it down to the specific topics and that sort of thing. But it's been really good conversation. Thanks, Bob and Darius. That was really good.
Oh, yeah. No problem.
Yeah, thanks.
And just so everyone knows that the show will be every week at this time. You can come into Blog Talk Radio, 5D Media Network, The Remembering, and call the number 646-716-4598 to call in, or if you have Skype, you can call in through the Skype chat on the Blog Talk page. And so please, everyone, don't be shy. Tune in next week. We'll have a good show planned for you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, everyone. Well, thank you, Bob. No
problem. And we'll see everyone in next week.
Okay. See you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.